Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to First Issue Tech. My name is Kyle T, joined by Mr. Courtney. What is going on today?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Kyle, thank you for having me on your show today, buddy.
It's not my show, it's our show. It's your show, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're here.
That's right.
So we got a couple little things we're going to blast at it today.
What's on the menu? I'm hungry.
Well, how about a new rollout for Google Home, new update? We got some fun new voice recognition features. Want to beat out that Amazon Alexa. Facebook is getting a total overhaul in the terms of its messenger. A whole bunch of protocols being rewritten, a lot of new things coming. Facebook is trying to step up in the future. Also, that shiny new Galaxy S8 can also be...
Tell me about that S8.
We all love it. It can now actually be used as a Windows device as well, especially running that sweet new Dex. So all you productivity fiends, stay tuned for that. Not to mention the new Galaxy S8 Plus Plus, aka the Note 8, may bring something that people have been wanting for the last 2 years, so get them up to speed. And speaking of the S8, people, it only took them a day after the update, and you can remap that Bixby button. Stay tuned if you want to hear more. This is First Issue Tech. Thanks for tuning in. So, bam, Courtney, what's up with this new Google Home update?
Google is really trying to bring back that innovative side of the company, the way they started. The new update is cool. It allows multiple users in the family 13 and over to be able to control the Google Home device. It's cool because you can say you have 4 or 5 people, 2-3 people in the family, whatever. You got 4 or 5 people in the family, and they're all over 13, and they all have calendars and schedules to keep to and things, whatever. You just, you're around your device, and you just say, okay, Google, what's my day look like? Okay, Google, when's my next appointment? Okay, Google, remind me to do X, Y, Z. Which it works well. It recognizes each individual voices, but the way it does it is if you have more than one device, you have to train each individual Google Home. So if you have one upstairs and one downstairs and one in every room, you have to voice train every single one for every single user. It doesn't just stay in your account in the cloud somewhere.
So Big Brother doesn't keep a huge database after all.
No, Google, at least that's what they want us to believe. So they're not telling you, hey, we got you, it's going to float and follow you everywhere you go. No, you actually have to train each one with a series of phrases. Okay, Google, hey, Google. And I don't know if there's anything else, but I know there's okay, Google and hey, Google, but you may have to say something more. Because I don't think okay, Google and hey, Google is complicated enough for it to really understand the voice, but it might be more advanced than I think.
I think you'd have to say, okay, Google, yada, 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 and by the time you've gotten your statement out, it could have figured it out. But this is actually really exciting because after the massive interest in Amazon's Echo last year during Christmas time, I have a feeling that if people actually see this in action and it does work as advertised, which, let's face it, voice recognition is not a 100% certainty even at this day. Some 6 years after Siri took off, Siri still isn't fully there, and neither is Google.
Siri hasn't changed much since it launched, and it's pathetic. Cortana came out the gate in beta mode, destroying Siri, and it's still doing it. Cortana's great. Google is definitely a lot more popular. Google Assistant. I love Cortana. It works almost flawlessly every single time. Unfortunately, regardless of which voice assistant you use, if you really want to find the answer more accurately, you're going to have to use Google. Unless you can remap your search engine to Google, then you get everything you want.
Well, what I mean is the technology isn't
I'm
there
just
to be.
bashing. No, that's the truth. No bias. That opinion is not biased. That's a very unbiased opinion. Siri sucks. Siri
Comparatively,
sucks.
yes, Siri does suck.
Compared to Google Assistant and Cortana, Siri sucks. Siri can kick Bixby's ass, I tell you that.
Oh, well, yeah, because it doesn't use voice right now. But I can see
it can't fight back right now, so it's defenseless.
Straight up. So I can really see if this does work 98% of the time, which is actually really good for voice. Usually voice recognition works about 92%, and trust me, the 8% really does bug you. But if they can get this and show it to consumers how effortless it is and how it can be used in that way, as well as controlling all the cool entertainment things, which people like Alexa 4 specifically, I think they can have a real winner on their hands. Not to mention, it is still competitively priced. And yeah, they can bring people into the future with this. As well as I don't think they're still doing it, but they were bundling it with the LG G6. So if you got an LG G6 with that Google Home, you might get some more use out of it. And it is Google, so they will update and update. Whereas Alexa will probably just, I think that's all she can do.
Yeah, no, Google was on top of it. The Home is no longer available. That promotion ended, I believe. But
most likely,
for those that took advantage of it, some of them may not have ever bought one, but now that they have it, they're probably enjoying it. I know I was enjoying mine until I kicked it like a football through the field goal markers.
Nice. Well, as long as you scored the goal, I guess it counts.
That's it, man. It's all about scoring goals in life.
Yeah. So let's keep things rolling. Facebook Messenger is getting an overhaul, which they've actually. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying they're calling it Platform 2.0. I guess it's always been Messenger platform, and I'm just realizing this. I don't know, but I thought it was just Messenger. But anyway. It's not that the name doesn't really matter. It's still Facebook Messenger.
True. I can see why they say platform, because what began as an instant messaging app built into a browser is now, on top of instant messaging, it also does SMS and syncs with your SMS. It does voice and video calls. And a few more features to come. So it has become a platform. I can definitely see where they want to change the way they show that, at least to investors.
Yeah, because, investors, the name means everything. And you're right about that. Because I'm looking at it, and I was doing my little research, and the new Messenger platform does a lot. As far as, besides the added things you were just mentioning, you can discover things as you type, as far as food, entertainment, news, emojis, memes. There's different chat extensions. So they're really trying to evolve this whole thing. You can have group conversations, play games, kind of like iMessage, where you can play games with each other back and forth. You'll be able to do that. It'll have the handover protocol. So for like business users or companies, you can have multiple developers create different experiences with just a single bot, which is cool.
So is this kind of making Facebook Messenger more open source for third-party apps?
No.
Okay.
Not exactly.
Okay.
These are development tools that are for just Messenger. You're not using these elsewhere.
Okay. Right. I guess that's kind of what I meant to say. More in-app development.
In a way, yeah. In a way, because with the bots, you can communicate cross-platform with other bots and get information and things like that. But it's not like you and I make an app and we can implement some of the Facebook Messenger or connect it to it in any kind of way. Not as far as I can tell right now. Everything seems to be separate or working independently, but the new UI seems okay, and I look forward to actually getting my hands on it to see how it works.
So true.
It's funny because I don't even really use it. I actually don't. My sister is probably the only person that I have a regular conversation with on Messenger. Why she uses Messenger as opposed to picking up the phone or sending me a text message, I don't know. But she uses Messenger. Maybe it's her default Messenger because of Android. I don't know. But that's what she always, every single time, is a Facebook message. I'm like, who is sending me? I'm like, it's got to be my sister. I don't even use a damn thing.
I will say that particularly for Android users, its use is much higher, because one thing I didn't realize when coming back to Android is that on an iOS system, Messenger is a singular app that you do have to open up every time you get a notification message, just like text messaging. On Android, they never lost the bubbles, and I didn't realize the Messenger bubbles were still a thing until I hopped back, because I got into Android, my last Android before I went to iPhone for several years was in 2012. So when I got an iPhone and it wasn't there, I was like, okay, this is a new phone. They're not doing it anymore. I just didn't realize it was an Android specific thing, because that's an overlay in the system which Apple doesn't allow.
Yeah, they don't, that's weird, because they don't allow that for the Messenger, but they do allow it for videos on YouTube and Facebook, because you can take that video and swipe it down, and it'll be in the lower corner, just chilling while your other stuff is going on in the background.
I wonder if, I know the Twitch app has a pop-out feature too. I want to know if that works the same way on iOS too, because that would be insane that Facebook wouldn't support. If they do allow at least those specific apps, then the Facebook bubbles would just blow iOS users' minds.
Yeah, because if they've always been on iOS, they've never seen it unless they've seen it on their friend's phone. But to be able to just use it and have the bubbles right there and just drag and drop and move them, and they're floating all around.
Oh, it's so convenient because you're just watching all of your conversations go at once, and you never have to leave the app you're in. The times I open up the actual app is so rare. I probably only open it up once a day just to look at my other missed messages, and that's about it.
Yeah, Apple needs to do that. They need to include the smart dialer. I'm really looking forward to iOS 11 to see what they're going to bring to the table. Because if it's just the same old iOS with some minor adjustments, then I think they'll be in trouble. I don't even think it matters what type of devices they put out if their OS hasn't changed much.
I think that just means Courtney's going to leave Apple if they don't offer what you want. They're in a bidding war for Courtney is what you're saying.
No, it's not about me. It's about the people. It's about the people, not the sheeple, but the people. I want to see Apple really show us some real innovation on their iOS, because their OS platform is really lacking a lot of features that you can get on Windows Mobile that you can't get on iOS, which is insane.
Indeed. Now, bringing it back to Facebook Messenger, I almost forgot, but yet the whole point of the going in that direction was because I do believe that is the main reason why it's a little more popular, or that's why people have adopted it. And as soon as SMS came in there, most people actually said yes without even reading what it's about, and they don't realize why half of their conversations are coming in purple. But that's beside the point. It's become integral.
People don't read.
It is an integral experience to most people's messaging, and because on Android it offers those iOS-like features, those iMessage-like features, most people I know just absolutely communicate through Messenger only, and that's also a sign of my generation being in my mid to late 20s. I think that's my generation's thing, whereas the generation after us is going to be the Insta Snapchat generation. Your Insta Snaps, your Snaptagrams.
Snaptagrams, huh?
Yes, sir.
New word, that's the word of the day, folks. How do you spell that?
Snap, Snaptagrams. Snaptagrams.
Snaptagram. Okay, sounds like you're talking about measuring drug weight, but that's okay. So tell me about this S8 running Windows on the phone, or is that just kind of like not true?
Well, being that Android is an open source platform anyway, you do have the ability to root your device and dual boot whatever you want, but since the S8 natively supports the Samsung's DeX, now people have gotten into cracking it and running full Windows straight from the phone. And yes, now you're looking at a phone that can dual boot both Android and Windows, and it sounds like it's just a great experience. Windows fan, what do you think?
I'm okay with it. I think it'd be cool because you have somewhat of a dual booting device, which was mentioned a few years ago, a Windows device that would dual boot Windows or Android. Although it's not Windows Mobile OS, it's Windows 10, so it'll work fine. And I think it'd be something fun to do. I don't know how stable it'll be, even though that the Snapdragon 835 is 100% compatible with the Windows devices, with Windows 10 OS that's coming out in Q4. But I think it'd be fun to mess around a little bit. You got that Android phone and you throw it in the DeX, and the monitor pops up, goes to life, and your display is Windows 10 and instead of Android, and then you just flip it back and forth. I think it'd be fun.
Now that would be really great if someone could actually make a kernel for the S8 that auto detects when you're outputting through the USB-C port to automatically reboot into Windows, or at least put Android in a low-powered enough state in the back burner and then immediately boot up Windows instead of having to actually hard boot it that way. I don't imagine at this state in the game it's a smooth transition as popping it down and Windows pops right up.
Yeah, I mean, to do that, and now my only concern is would we have to completely close the previous OS that we were running, or can we just kind of stick it away in the corner and just kind of flip back and forth? But we still have to consider the processor and the RAM and what we're really using it on.
True. Now, and I think, it's TouchWiz we're talking about. I don't know how much TouchWiz takes up on the S8. Most for the S7, for reference, running with no apps open, just on your home page, you're using roughly 1.2 gigs. So if you can save those 1.2 gigs of RAM, you can probably keep it in a low powered enough state where the processor wouldn't take much of a hit at all to kind of keep it just in a safe state. However, it's Windows 10, because I don't know for sure how much. I believe it's also a little over a gig, but I don't know for sure. Do you know how much memory and resources Windows takes kind of at idle?
I'm not sure. I haven't even given it much thought on the consumption of it. I actually, being honest, I really haven't even thought about it. So now you're making me think about it.
I can't imagine it'd be more than 1.5 gigs. And in fact,
actually, it's probably less than a gig.
Probably.
It might be pushing it. It might actually be pushing the gig close to a gig, but I don't see it being much more than that. What I was reading was that the Snapdragon 835 will run Windows Desktop, but it run it natively for ARM devices, which is kind of like the Windows RT.
Right.
But an upgrade, I guess, kind of sucks because RT sucks. It's like using an iPad. It sucks. You can only run mobile apps on it. But those devices will support the universal Windows apps as well as the Win32 apps. So using via emulator. So if you can use that on your SA running Windows on the DeX, then you can run native programs right there, and you can run VM and just get all your work done for real. So it may end up being I'm gonna have to say right now, I'm gonna say maybe a gig or less, but in real time 2 gigs.
Well, now all they need to do is just root their device, overclock that 835, and then throw a badass water cooling loop on it, and you'll be good to go.
A water cooling loop on the phone, really? Yeah.
Samsung already has liquid cooling, man. You know they tout that liquid cooling technology.
Yeah, so what happens if you drop your phone? Is the liquid going to crack inside and leak all over everything?
Oh, yeah, that's what happened with the Note 8, Note 7. That liquid just happened to be liquid battery acid.
Yeah, right? And cause everything to go boom. So tell me about this.
Too many cheap shots.
Hey, today is Cheap Shot Sunday.
You know it.
Today is Cheap Shot Sunday. I'm throwing low blows and elbows. So tell me about this hacker or this dev that made it available for everybody to enjoy their new Galaxy S8, S8 Plus Bixby button remapping the way it should be.
I mean, do you really want to call him a hacker?
No, I changed it. I corrected it and called him a dev.
Technically, you got to do a little bit of a both, though.
Yeah, I mean, I won't call him just a hacker. I'll call him a dev. Give him his dev credits because he did develop the app that allowed you to do it.
So pretty much, you now have the choice again. I saw this article not even a day after Samsung had pushed the update to block any apps that remap the Bixby button, because I believe they're using the Bixby button, trying to use the Bixby button for anything, which is what it should be until Bixby is full-fledged and then it's flashed to be only Bixby. But now you have this new app that will at least allow you to switch it to Google Assistant if you'd like. So now giving you a little more power back in your hand, and there's no root required. No root, no hack. Run the app, give it access, and you've now got some more freedom with your device.
I think that's cool because it's like one of the first times it's not the first time, but that people are actually talking about. You can actually do something, a big change to your Android phone and the way it works without rooting the device. Without giving away any of your privacy or security or anything like that. You can get your new phone to work exactly how you expected it to work in the first place, being an Android device. You have somewhat total control.
This comes as a little less of a surprise for me because when I got my S7, I started deep diving. My S7s, I like to run almost nothing Samsung. Besides Samsung Pay and Samsung Health, just for the fun of it, I actually downloaded Package Disabler Pro, and there are a couple of them actually. That's only one. I've been recommended a few others, but people have actually been able to dive deep and actually disable a lot of Samsung's bloatware. And I'm assuming they have versions for other carriers too. It's just Samsung is the most notorious for adding extra crap on top of TouchWiz, and it's somewhat insane how many processes I have stopped, and I think it's somewhere near 40 processes that would normally go on that have just stopped entirely. And my my experience hasn't changed for it, except it's slightly faster for it.
Yeah, when I had my Note 7, I noticed that even the V20, although the V20 was really buggy, it was a lot of lag with it. But I noticed that was it Marshmallow 6.0.6.1 plus the Doze feature, it was doing a really good job of cleaning things up in the background. Because before, people would download these apps, these performance boosters.
Don't download them, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. They're just going to give you malware, performance problems, spyware, a bunch of crap. You don't need it. And the phone, I love it. I mean, I like where Google's going with the OS. It took them a while to get this shit together, but they got it together, and I'm happy to see some real progress.
Little bit by little bit. Who knows? Soon enough, we'll actually have the ability to bypass TouchWiz altogether and just run native Android. In fact, one day Google will say, if you want to use our software, we are like Windows now. You can throw some programs on top of it, but Windows is Windows. Android is Android. Do not screw with it.
That's right. And with that said, this is the part that's got me most excited for this entire show. I've been sitting here like I had ants in my pants waiting to talk about this.
Oh boy.
The Note 8. The Note 8.
What about this
dual
Note
camera?
8?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait. It's the Galaxy S8 Plus Plus, the way you call it, right? Yeah, that bad boy.
Pretty much.
The Note 8 is rumored to have a dual camera. And what else?
I think if it's a Note, they have to have an S Pen on it.
It better have an S Pen, or else I'm just going to get an S8 Plus.
Exactly.
And call that a Note, And no, it better have a upgraded S Pen. Even though last year's was great, it worked well, it was upgraded from before. I think they need to continue upgrading the S Pen every year with every Note. Make it better and better and better and better and better and better.
For all 3 users that use it.
Hey, there's more than 3 users using that S Pen. I can name 4 myself.
Oh, congratulations.
So actually, I'm lying.
Low.
I am the only one that has had a Note and used the S Pen, and I use the S Pen all the time. I use it all the time. It's just second nature, especially coming from a Palm Treo with the stylus in it. There was no reason not to use a stylus.
Yeah, and
it just makes sense.
They even had a lot of casual friendly features on the last Note.
Yep.
Like the GIF maker, really? People would go nuts with that if they just knew it was there.
And a lot of people have these phones, and all they know how to do is take pictures and send text messages and emails and make phone calls. And I'm like, why do you have that phone if you don't even know how to use it? Mm-hmm. So people ask a lot of questions. I spend a lot of time educating people on the devices. So I stopped. And I just started pointing them to YouTube. I would tell them whatever device they had, search for Galaxy S8 tips and tricks or Galaxy S8 beginner's guide. Search for things like that, and you can get all the information you need. But don't search from your phone, because you're going to need to use your phone to follow along so you can get the education and training you need. Self-training. I mean, damn. That's like having a car and not knowing how to start it and drive the damn thing.
Yep, how do I put it in reverse?
Oh, I just sit in it and pretend.
So getting back on track, yes, the rumors are that we're going to have dual cameras finally, and this is another one that came from... No, actually, I remember this is another site off topic, but on topic. Apparently, Samsung didn't want to put...
working Bixby? Oh, no, not that. I'm sorry.
They didn't want to put dual cameras on the S8.
I'm not sorry, though.
Most likely that reason is because they had to map the fingerprint sensor last minute, and they probably wanted that camera to go to save money.
Maybe they were just saving it for the Note 8 to make it stand out, because the S8 Plus is 6.2 inches.
And rumored only increase of 6.4 inches on the Note.
Yeah, not a big jump.
No, but then again, I mean, how much bigger can you get? 6.5 would be nice. I'd like 6.5. That'd be bragging rights at that point.
See, well, that'd be pushing it, because then you really have like a tablet, because you can buy a 7-inch tablet, but now you have a 7-inch phone in your hand.
7-inch tablet with 3 inches of bezel.
That's true. Okay, you got me on that, because the bezel is so the S8 is such a beautiful, it's
right.
So sexy.
You've seen how much bezel are on most 7-inch tablets, even 6-inch tablets. They're almost twice the size.
2 inches all the way around. So the S8, what I'm thinking is, if they're going to make it 2.4 inches, that 18:9 ratio isn't really a good one. It should be 16:9 for the Note, so that way it can be a little bit wider and longer at the same time. Or it can be a little bit wider, but be within that range, that length of the S8 Plus, but just be a little wider. is what I would do. Instead of having it long and skinny and just having it be a little bit taller, I would just make it a little bit wider and just, I don't know, it's just an idea.
True, because if I'm trying to think of what screen ratio or what screen size you'd have if you just widened it, kept the same amount of bezel and everything.
I'm thinking, make it a little bit wider, a little bit more
girthier,
real estate, a little more real estate,
battery,
and with like a 4,000 plus milliamp battery. A minimum of a 4,000 milliamp battery. Minimum 4,000.
If they don't have at least a 3,800 milliamp hour battery, I will not buy it. If it's 4,000, I just might buy it. I think I really can't see why they don't have, but then again, casuals is the only thing I can say.
Anything less than 4,000 milliamps battery, it just won't work for an all-day user, because I would like to get 5 hours of screen time in a day. I want 5 hours of on screen time.
That would be nice.
With the display anywhere from halfway to 3/4 of the way all the way lit. That's what I think would be ideal.
No doubt. And yeah, battery life, absolutely get it right. And also Samsung, bite the bullet and get Quick Charge 4.0, because we're talking, shout out to MKBHD, but I really thought he said the Quick Charge was great because he woke up with 8% battery life, threw it on the charger for an hour, and it finally fully charged. I'm like, that's terrible. My LG G5 would full charge in about 40 minutes. Granted, it's a smaller battery, yes, but actually compared to the S8, it only is 200 milliamp hours below it. So what the F?
When he said that, I'm thinking maybe he wasn't checking it the whole time, because by the time he did everything he needed to do, get himself ready for the day, and went back to the phone, I'm sure there was maybe 10-15 minutes where the phone was already at 100%.
I hope so, but Quick Charge 4.0 should charge your device in 40 minutes easy, full.
Depending on battery size.
The battery size of the S8 can charge in true. I mean, I'm getting too hopeful because I'll admit, I haven't actually looked at the specs, because I know I'm probably going to upgrade to a Samsung, and Samsung's not going to support Quick Charge, so I don't want to tease myself.
No, Samsung, they support the Samsung Quick Charge.
Adaptive fast charge, yeah.
Adaptive fast charge, but it's not really Quick Charge. It's not the same.
It's not Qualcomm standard.
Yeah, it's not It doesn't work across the board. So I want to jump off subject real quick before we say goodnight, ladies and gentlemen. And this is an old subject, but I was just bothered. It was just rehashed in my life. It just kind of bothered me a little bit. With Intel processors sucking, Qualcomm processors being the standard, and anyone that has a T-Mobile or AT&T iPhone, it's those iPhones that caused anyone not on AT&T T-Mobile to have a slower iPhone experience because of the processors, because the Qualcomm chips are faster than the Intel. So Apple had to dumb down everybody else's iPhone so they wouldn't be better than AT&T and T-Mobile. Did any of you not know that? Because it's really frustrating, because the phones will outperform them hands down without even breaking a sweat. Benchmarks off the charts with the Qualcomm chips. But the reason why I brought that up is because we're talking about Apple, and you mentioned Apple having control. Samsung saying, okay, you want to run our OS, this is how it's going to be like Windows. Well, that's kind of Apple pulling rank on the carrier, saying, look, this phone can't be, you have to dumb it down. It can't benchmark faster than this. And that's what they did. So
really?
Verizon and Sprint customers with iPhone 7s, they have the Qualcomm chips, which are the better chips. But they perform exactly the same as the Intel chips, because Intel right now they just can't compete.
Okay, so to rehash this, you're saying the A10 Fusion built by Intel is being held back in LTE speeds?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I understand.
That sounds like it should be a lawsuit to me, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking like a civil suit where Apple should be forced to dish out some money to everybody or something. I don't know.
Let me play devil's advocate, because as far as I'm aware, no one has speeds. No one can take advantage of the full speed of the 835 chip anyway right now, because it supports gigabit speeds, aka 5G or sub 5G, and only in test zones have they really been able to achieve that. So isn't it, to me that seems, I believe you. I mean, I'll obviously research it and see what's going on there, but I don't see where that actually affects the end user, considering that I don't think even AT&T or Verizon currently has any commercially or consumer available towers that can hit the higher speed of either chip, really, the A10 or the 835.
No, not really, but just the fact that that it had to be dumbed down, it had to be slowed down, so that way all the phones are on level playing field, and Apple doesn't have to worry about consumers searching for phones based on what processor they have. You see what I'm saying? Why they went with two different manufacturers in the first place, I don't know. They should have just put Qualcomm chips in all of them.
True. I think what this is going to come out to be is...
Well, I want you to do some research on that. I want you to take a look at the information I sent you.
Okay.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to do your research too. This is old news, but it's still news because it's still very relevant.
Absolutely. You don't want the company taking away your speed from you. So
whether you use it or not.
Exactly. So it's your choice to be informed. Just like last week, we're taking a stance. Gotta know what's going on with your technology, folks.
Yeah, I'm going to read a quick little section from valuewalk.com, and this is just one of the things from when we sit down and we formulate our shows and what we're going to talk about. I was going to save this for the next one, but I wanted to end this one with this kind of like what is it? Actually, see, what's the phrase I'm looking for? When like a cliffhanger. So we're going to dive more into this in our next episode, because it's also going to affect how 5G is introduced to us. If you're an iPhone user. Only iPhone users, just so you know. Only iPhone users. So in the United States, mobile carriers Sprint and Verizon offer Qualcomm-powered phones. AT&T and T-Mobile sell Intel-powered iPhones that do not work on CDMA-operated Sprint and Verizon networks. But Qualcomm offers support for all U.S. carriers. Therefore, an unlocked iPhone 7 purchased on Sprint and Verizon networks can also be operated on AT&T and T-Mobile's network, believe it or not. So with Intel, they aim to make it in the 5G wireless spectrum. They're going to have to step their chip setup. But that's my little brief rant. You're going to get a whole earful next episode, guys. And I'm on Mission 10. Mission 10 is going to be a doozy.
Well, stay tuned, because we're going to have a whole big shebangle about that. I appreciate you guys. I've been Kyle T. Courtney, thank you for co-hosting with me today. Pleasure as always.
Always a
Cheap
pleasure,
Shop
sir.
Sunday.
Well, gotta hit them low. Gotta let them know that we are here, and we are the voice of the people. First Issue Tech is here to stay. We want everybody to know. Hey, if you're a gamer, just wanted to give a shout out to our friends over at Team Xbox. Go check them out. You can get your support questions in. You need help with anything, they're there for you.
Awesome. And as always, y'all have a great night. Appreciate it, folks.
Good night, ladies.